The people, things, and events that hold your attention are indicative of your entire mental makeup. The things you are interested in are an indication of what you should be doing more of. Choose the right field. In one longitudinal study examining 1,500 men and women who started out eager and ambitious at the beginning of their careers, they found that only 83 of them, over the course of 20 years, became millionaires. When they went back and studied the attitudes and decisions of these people as they had evolved over 20 years, they found that every millionaire had one thing in common. They had all chosen a field they enjoyed and then become totally absorbed in what they were doing. They had gone to work in an area of endeavor in which they were extremely interested and which held their entire attention. They had then thrown their whole hearts into becoming very good in that area, developing the strengths necessary to succeed in that field. They had then capitalized on those strengths by becoming better and better progressively over time. The conclusion of the study was that success, wealth, and happiness seemed to occur when a person was completely preoccupied doing something else. The wealthy people in this study never set out to make a lot of money. Instead, they set out to find a field that they really enjoyed and then devoted themselves to it. The money came as an afterthought. Happiness and satisfaction. The flip side of this equation is that you will never really be happy or satisfied until you have found a way to apply your unique human capabilities to your life and to your career. In the book Working by Studs Terkel, he reports that more than 80% of Americans do not feel that their full potential is being utilized in their work. They may be busy and they may be reasonably satisfied, but way down deep, they feel that there is far more that they could do if given the right situation and the right opportunity. You probably feel this way yourself from time to time. This is called the feeling of divine discontent. It is a feeling of uneasiness and dissatisfaction that arises whenever you are not fully challenged by what you are doing. To enjoy high levels of self-confidence and self-esteem, you must be working at the outer edge of your envelope. You must be stretching your capabilities continually. You must have a feeling that you are growing day by day with the challenges that your work is putting on you. Without that feeling of challenge and growth, you'll experience a nagging discontent, and this is a good sign. Discontent and dissatisfaction almost always precede a constructive change that forces you to change and starts you growing once more. Men and women with clear values who are living their lives consistent with their highest aspirations are those who have a deep down sense of self-confidence and well-being. Integrity. Integrity is the value that guarantees all the others. Having integrity means that you will not compromise on what you believe to be right in any area. Integrity is absolutely essential if you want to capitalize on your strengths. It means more than anything looking at yourself honestly and making your decisions based on the fact that you are an extraordinary human being. Your feelings are very valuable clues to your choices and behavior. Your peace of mind and personal satisfaction is perhaps the most accurate guide you will ever have to doing what is right for you. Courage is essential. In combination with integrity, courage is the most important quality you can have if you want to be happy and self-confident. If integrity means being honest with yourself, then courage means having the strength of mind to follow where your heart leads you. Courage means having the ability to push aside all other considerations in order to remain true to the very best that is in you. Winston Churchill said, "Courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend." You know by now that fear is the greatest single enemy of self-confidence and self-fulfillment. It's not that people don't know what to do, it is usually that they are afraid to do what their hearts tell them to do. But when you build up your courage act by act, you gradually overcome your fears. With courage, your whole world opens up before you. Your self-confidence increases. You reach the point where there are no longer any limitations on what you will attempt and what you will commit yourself to. Follow your heart. Be honest with yourself. To follow your heart, you don't necessarily need to make dramatic changes in your life or your relationships. What you do need to do is to see yourself honestly, as you really are, and have the courage to channel your energies and focus your strengths into your areas of greatest potential. And when you do this, you will soon realize that you have made one of the best decisions of your life. Each person has great strengths and potentialities, and each person is put on this earth to harness those strengths and apply them to benefiting themselves and mankind. The life stories of the great men and women of history are usually stories of people who discovered their strengths and utilized them to the fullest degree. Churchill was a great statesman and orator. Florence Nightingale was a tremendous organizer. Florence Chadwick was an incredibly strong swimmer. Abraham Lincoln was a far-sighted and compassionate politician and president. Mother Teresa was a truly loving human being with an infinite capacity to care for and support the sick and dying people of Calcutta. Joe Montana was a quarterback with an incredible throwing arm with the San Francisco 49ers. All around you, you see men and women who have grabbed their major talents, like catching a pass in a football game, and are running for the goalposts. And you can do the same if you have the courage to follow your heart. Compensating for weaknesses. No discussion of strengths would be complete without a discussion of weaknesses. Strong people have strong weaknesses as well. In fact, most people have far more weaknesses than they have strengths. You may be strong in a few areas, but weak in hundreds of other areas. Weaknesses are an inevitable and unavoidable fact of life. As Peter Drucker said, all innovations must be simple if they are to work, because there are only incompetent people to carry them out. The one thing that we will always have in abundance is incompetence. Drucker wasn't being unkind. He was being realistic and pointing out that most people are incompetent, or at best average, just in different areas. The challenge with human weaknesses is that unhappy and unsuccessful people have a tendency to focus on them. They become preoccupied with their weaknesses and think about their lacks of talent and ability too much of the time. They lose sight of the fact that each person has strengths that may need to be developed, and that these strengths can and will bring them everything they want. Instead, they dwell continually on their areas of lesser competence rather than on their areas of potential excellence. Developing strength and resiliency. We are all brought up with feelings of inferiority and inadequacy. Our self-esteem and self-confidence are fragile. Our positive feelings about ourselves are like balloons, easily popped. We have to work on ourselves for a long time to build ourselves up to the point where we are tough and resilient, especially in the areas where we make mistakes and drop the ball. Every person is a combination of peaks and valleys. You have areas of great potential strength, and you have multiple areas of weakness where you perform in an average or mediocre way. Drucker also wrote, "The goal of business is to maximize strengths and to make weaknesses irrelevant." The law of concentration has an inordinate impact on the person you become. Whatever you dwell upon grows in your life. Strong, competent people are those who dwell upon their strengths and abilities. Weak people are those who dwell upon their weaknesses and their inabilities. You always have the choice of looking at your glass as being either half full or half empty. But to develop and maintain high levels of self-confidence and the success and happiness that go with it, you must consciously choose to dwell upon your strengths most of the time. You are a bundle of resources. One of the most obvious characteristics of leaders in life is that they view themselves as bundles of resources that can be utilized in many different ways, like a tool can be used to achieve different results. Leaders are adamant about applying themselves only in those areas where they can perform well and make a significant difference. They focus only in those areas where they can succeed because of their special talents. One of the best questions you can ask yourself over and over is, what can I and only I do that, if done well, will make an extraordinary difference in my situation? The law of concentration also says that all great successes in life come from single-minded, focused concentration on doing one thing or a few things extremely well. Success comes from staying at a particular task, the most valuable and important task you could be doing, until you succeed. Every great human achievement is preceded by an extended period of dedicated, concentrated effort. But there is little to be gained by digging determinedly if you're digging in the wrong place. As Benjamin Trigo, the management consultant, said, the very worst use of time is to do very well what need not be done at all. Assess your strengths and weaknesses. This brings us to the importance of self-assessment with regard to your strengths. When we do strategic planning for corporations, we deal continually with what is called concentration of power. Where can the company focus and concentrate its resources to achieve extraordinary results in a competitive market?